Howdy, guys and gals. Here we are in my beautiful shop. You may hear a grinding noise in the background. I apologize beforehand. That is my printer printing a very large format print. That's what I do now. I had a request from one of my buddies, Terminally Nerdy. Shout out to you, homie. If I can figure out how to link things, I'll put it somewhere. Don't know how. I'm an old man. I've been hitting the head a lot. Not that old. He asked for a request for some wrestling related stories. I have a million wrestling stories. Um, I can't tell a lot of those. There's kind of a code in the business, kind of like what stays backstage. And I know dirt sheets are real big and stuff, but I'm also a very low level guy. Like, I've met some really cool guys. I know some things about some guys on the WWE currently. Some cool stories. Probably the only one of those I'd like to share is back in the day. I've traded Pokemon with AJ Styles before anybody knew who he was, and he was actually way more famous than I ever was at that point. So I'm just some little nobody who had a link cable, and that was a cool moment for me, just because wrestling, the the old timers get to rule the background, the locker room a lot. So it was cool running across somebody with that much authority, that much talent, so early on in his career and early on in my career. And that's kind of where I'll share two stories with you guys. The first story will be the typical wrestlers, my first match and how terrible it was. And the second story, my most famous persona towards the end of my career was as the hardcore hillbilly Henry Hump. Um, I can't get out of my accent or anything, so that story sort of just plays itself. It's very interesting. I think it's interesting. Anyways, we'll tell the story. Um, my first wrestling match was in Eastern Kentucky. That's where I'm from. That's where this beautiful accent comes from. I wrestled. I learned to wrestle from a guy named Coco Warrior, who was a ripoff artist, and then I got conned by an even bigger ripoff artist. I won't name his name because he's actually a buddy of mine, but he didn't know how to teach somebody how to be a pro wrestler. But both these guys got me. I kind of barnacled in to the business. Um, I had a friend also whose older brother was a pro wrestler and was really helpful at like getting me to shows. I got to meet a lot of the great Southern wrestlers. Like one of the best conversations on wrestling I ever had as a young guy was with Pistol Pez Watley in Marlowe's Country Palace in Pike County, Kentucky. Dude knew a lot about the business, gave me really good advice. I didn't heed a lot of it. I didn't understand a lot of it until later. But there's wisdom out there, and you should always listen to your elders in lots of cases because they might not know how to always frame their advice in the best ways, but it's always true. But I was 99, 2000. I was graduating high school in 99. That summer, I got some gigs helping set up the ring. I'd helped set up some of the shows. They were what's known as outlaw shows. They weren't quite indie shows. I'm not even sure we had legal billing in a lot of places. That's Coco. And it's not Coco Beware. To let you know, Coco Warrior was a very talented guy. He was a high flyer before high flying was super big at the time. Like anything Rey Mysterio or Juventud was doing, he could do. He really could. He was talented in that way. Kind of a shady booker. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know. Green, I didn't know. I did a lot of refereeing before I got to actually wrestle in the ring. I was one of those guys that wanted to be a technical wrestler because I did some wrestling, and I really like grappling. I really enjoy just as well as anybody else, MMA style stuff. Early UFC at that time was a little different than what it is now, so didn't have a whole big grasp on all that. Is that something on my... there we go. Yeah. Anyways. Um, I did. I guess you could say I barnacled in. I never paid to train until a little later on. I won't name drop any of those guys, but about 2 or 3 years into my career, it became obvious that I needed to pay to get better training. So I attended seminars with some really great guys. Um, I did some stuff with Mikey Whipwreck. I did some stuff with Tracy Smothers. Was really cool. Um, there's a lot of the old timers in Virginia who, when I came out to this area, were super great with their time, and I'll just always be grateful for them to like, you know, let a little nobody like me have some great advice. But my first wrestling match came about when I finally got tied in with Bluegrass Championship Wrestling. They're still promoting in the area. They still do good stuff. Hey, Adam. I don't know if you'll ever see this video, but I really enjoyed my few matches that I had in Bluegrass Championship Wrestling. Um, I, I'm not sure. I don't have any of the videos or anything. I really wish I did because at the time I was about 200 pounds. I'm about 5'8", so kind of chubby, but not a great big kid for wrestling by any measure. I had an orange mohawk, but it wasn't a true mohawk. It was like I shaved the sides here and had this ear, and it was orange. So I did that up real big. I had face piercings. A couple of my little tattoos. Wrong arm. I don't understand that video is mirrored, but whatever. Man, people hated me. I wanted to be a good guy. I wanted to go out there and get cheered, but they introduced me as I was the Burn, BURN. I still go by that. I came out to Rage Against the Machine, Sleep Now in the Fire. Quite proud of myself for all this branding without knowing what branding was at the time. I was ashamed of my body, so I wore baggy jogging pants. I did have wrestling shoes, and I had an orange shirt with some like fake tattoos on it. It was lame. Again, I wasn't trained until like 2 years after this, but I had my first match anyways. I went against a gentleman by the name of the Janitor. um, Kid had a few more matches on me, but not that many. He had the janitor gimmick going on, and he was quite proud of it. Good kid. I ran into him later working at a call center of all places, doing tech support. But he and I went over a match. We were given 7 minutes opening. That's kind of where you start out as a green rookie. Nobody expects it to go well. I'm not sure if we were in the Horse Park at that time or if, maybe Elkhorn, Kentucky. I'm not 100% sure where we were. But anyways, the other gentleman, Parker, his name was Max Manson. I'll name drop him because he's probably arrested by now or something. We'll see if I get some heat for that. But he had an idea for me and my buddy Scotty to be his minions as he did a Charles Manson sort of deal. So me and the janitor, I had an escort up to the gate with my two other communal partners, whatever Parker had in mind. He was out there. Dude always was thinking anyways. I'll give him credit for that. But heat right away. First match, crowd was ready. Wrestling at that time was just cooling, I guess. Like, it was still kind of hot. This was summer of 2001. So, we never had the whole 9/11, like, everything really changed then. I won't get into that, but summer of 2001, I was 18, 19 years old. Pro wrestler, in pretty decent shape. Dude, I went out there just on fire, or thought I was on fire. People were booing me. We had probably 250 in a little area. I thought that was a small crowd. I've worked in front of smaller crowds as a trained pro, known what I was doing. But 250 people in Eastern Kentucky seeing this orange-haired kid with. I think Parker had started a storyline with the Max Manson character before then, getting some heat. So automatically I was getting heat by association. Didn't know that. People were booing me, flipping me off. Steve Austin thing was going on, so some like F yous and various homophobic slurs. Definitely weren't afraid to throw those at me. So I got to go out first, get some heat, went to the ring, circled it. Great. Was happy as could be looking out. And, like, when you get into the wrestling ring, everything becomes either a positive or a negative roar. That's the best way I can explain it. I chatted with the referee. Since I had done some referee work, I knew what to ask for. In that particular company at that particular time, the finish was delivered by the referee. The good guys and bad guys had like a slot meeting. We were kind of given what we were expecting. So, like, first match, 7 minutes, including openings. Go out there, hit just the basic spots in your training. I won't go into that too much, but I'll go over the match because I remember it. Like, it's weird. I don't remember a lot of my matches, but I think every wrestler remembers their first match. Janitor's music hit. Like I said, he had been a couple, like, he had some matches a little ahead of me. So he was actually over pretty good. Like, people in bluegrass, working class Eastern Kentucky, the occupation gimmicks, didn't matter what it was. You could be like Jimmy the Chicken Plucker, and that's going to go over right away. He came out, was hot. I think his entrance music was Cotton Eye Joe or something very similar to that. So, Eastern Kentucky, a little bit of bluegrass sort of deal going on. Everybody was up. They were cheering. It was super loud and super cool. Quite positive for him. We met. He reached out to shake my hand. I slapped his hand away. We did our first lockup. I was a little bigger than him, so neither of us were super huge. So threw out his arm, got the headlock in. He backed me to the ropes, shoved me off. I came off, bumped him down, went to the other ropes. He timbered under me. I jumped over him, bounced off the rope, came back in, and he hit a really good drop kick. I remember hearing the crowd cheer quite a bit. I got up, and my first ever rookie mistake was he and I locked up again. We didn't build a lockup. We didn't know to, as a heel, I should have grabbed my back or grabbed my face or something and been like, oh, let's try that again. Let's set up another lockup. Straight to another lockup. Terrible looking on tape. No build up to it or anything. We chain wrestled again. Some hammer locks, reversals. He called for another rope spot, but we weren't in position. So I was like, okay, well, let's work our way to the corner. And we'll just do a let him get his shine there. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! It's a pretty classic opening move for the face to get that kind of shine over the heel in the first match. We did not get to make it there for whatever reason. He communicated and I communicated a drop toe hold, so I drop toe hold him. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll get some heat. So I choked him. Eye gouges. Nothing super impressive. And then we stood up and we locked one more time. This is 5 minutes into our 7-minute match. What it was is his finisher. He did kind of like $1 million dream sort of business. He whipped me off the rope and caught me into a submission, and I gave up right away. The real strong finish for a face, especially against a nobody, some scrub kid. I laid down, and I wanted to do the dead arm drop, 1, 2, 3, and just give him a victory that way. But tapping out was starting to become a thing, so I had to tap out. tapped out, and that was my first match, and that was fun. Um, and then from there, I wrestled quite a few more times over the next year or two with Bluegrass Championship Wrestling. I was wrestling 2 or 3 times a month, which was, pretty impressive for me. I didn't even know I could go out to other companies until like 2 years into wrestling. So I was loyal without knowing that I was loyal. Because honestly, my advice, if you're in that position where you're having your first couple matches and stuff, talk to your trainers, talk to whoever's helping you out. Go get you some road bookings right away. Find you a good crew to barnacle off of. You'll learn more about wrestling riding with people already working, whether they've been in it for like 2 years, 10 years, 20 years. Do the car rides, take some travel dates. I highly recommend it. I learned more when I started traveling than staying in one company. Nothing, no knock against the company or the guys that were helping to train me. I really appreciate it. It's just it's very valuable information that you can gain from other guys, humping the road, man. Now, the Henry Hump persona came about when I was in Virginia. I had been wrestling only occasionally, traveling back and forth with like some people that I knew on the roads in Kentucky and whatnot. But a local company had a show that I went to, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I'll still put it over, even though some of the guys there hate. Like, I guess there's heat. I don't understand. A lot of Ron Paul supporters, and I think Ron Paul is full of shit. That's just me. But it was called APW, All Premier Wrestling. About the time I joined in was they were switching to just All Premier as the company name, and I had met them, tried out. They saw some of my stuff. Really cool relationship. I did some referee work and helped do some other things that I had learned on the road that they weren't doing. I found out, a completely outlaw show, but like for the area, they were the most impressive show that I had been to. Because I go into indie wrestling anyways. Like, I still go to shows now, but I really liked what they were doing, and I met first with JR840. Shout out to you, JR, buddy, out in California, twice as high. And my original gimmick that I wanted to do, because I was in pretty good shape. I was a big chested, had some muscles on me guy, and I knew how to grapple. I knew how to chain wrestle, and there wasn't a whole lot of that going on in the area. Better now. So I wanted to be a Russian character. I wanted to do a Russian accent, and I had this awesome red singlet, and I was going to be a Russian wrestler who was banned from Olympics. I don't exactly know what year this was. 2007, 2008. Like I said, I was a decent wrestler at that point. Still did some green stuff just because I wasn't wrestling full time. You get ring rust, and that's a real thing, guys. Went to some practices, and nobody was buying the Russian accent. I looked the part. Could be a big white man Russian. But every time I talked, they were like, all I can hear, man, is your stupid hillbilly accent. And you're not allowed to say I have a stupid hillbilly accent, no matter who you are. That's rude. But I could not do, as you witnessed, a Russian accent. I could do my normal speech, cut a decent promo, and had to come up with a hillbilly gimmick. Henry was a great name. I still love that name. It belonged to a man in Eastern Kentucky that I loved very much, who was one of the inspirations, because he always wore overalls, and he was a great big man, and he had a fantastic speech pattern that I never did get down. I still don't have it, but slow, nice Eastern Kentucky, like, I don't know, just loved Henry. So I picked that name, and there were some other Henrys in Eastern Kentucky too who inspired it. Some of them were a little more goofy. You know who you are in high school, there, Betsy Lane, Henry. You know who you are. Know who you are. And then I thought the name Hump was just funny. On a couple different levels, I know that Henry Hump was a book character, so that was automatic. Like little kids would probably listen, like, "Oh, Henry Hump, I know what that is." And then there's also the double entendre there, who would get the you could get giggles right away out of the college age kids who were going to wrestling shows pretty regularly compared to a lot of other demographics. So I put some thought into it. It doesn't seem like it, but I did. And then the hardcore hillbilly made it quadruple H. Gimmick infringement, right, boss? So that was the birth of Henry Hump. I bought some overalls, got myself a Kentucky Wildcat blue T-shirt, and I got to wrestle in some really cool places. Shout out to APW. What time we were around, it was really fun. It got closed down, and I had a really fun time at Summit Wrestling Association out of Greencastle, Pennsylvania. I kind of want to go back there and wrestle now. I don't know. I think in my cards now would be a manager role. I have an idea for a wrestling RPG that doesn't focus on the wrestlers but focus on the booking, because I learned a lot about that. I really enjoy promotion and all that fun stuff. It kind of goes in with the job that I have now, making marketing material. But yeah, so those are two stories that I can share, and hopefully the untruths in them aren't too glaringly obvious. That's the fun stuff about wrestling stories, guys. But yeah, shout out. Hopefully this isn't too boring. Any other questions, any other comments, any other requests, any feedback, because I don't know what I'm doing, let me know. And y'all have a good day.